Okay, so welcome to today's hot seat interview. I'm here with a great client of mine, Chris from Kurv Living. Chris, welcome to the hot seat.
How you going?
Excellent. We did a hot seat about maybe about 12 months ago, maybe 15 months ago,
Yep.
and that interview looked kind of like this. Let me get my screen working right. It looked like this, which was kind of cool because can you see my screen all right?
I do. I don't think I've aged too much, so that's good.
No, you look exactly the same. That's a good sign.
A few more grey hairs maybe, but that's all right.
So back then we were sort of talking about how we got the business from, let's say struggling somewhat into a more profitable position. We kind of talked about getting you out of the red and into the black. And what were some of the things that we did in that period of time that kind of got you over the hurdle? We'll just do a bit of a review here right now.
I think the main thing was just the quoting process, and our quoting system wasn't really working. So that was the main one that sort of turned things around a little bit for us.
Yeah.
But we at that point, we were still using a panel source, sort of still very manual in our labour. But we made it work. We sort of got into the factory and sort of tried to streamline things as much as we could with what we had.
Yeah.
So the quoting and just sort of getting into the factory, and those were the two main things, I think.
Yeah. So we kind of plugged the holes with quoting. After a few months, the new quoting system took over from the old one, and you were starting to make more money on each job. Factory got a little bit more efficient. I kind of look at it this way now. It's kind of like you started to work smarter.
Yeah.
Through times it still weren't. I mean, nothing came easily, did it? This wasn't.
No.
Nothing was handed to you, and that's one of the things I really love about working with you is that you're very dedicated. You're very dogmatic. Like, you don't give up.
No.
You hit the wall sometimes. Like, things get tough.
Yeah.
Like everybody, you have your moments, but basically the next day you brush yourself off and you just say, right, what do we got to do to get through this?
Yep. No, that's it. It's and that's the only way you got to be. It's not easy. It's if you're going into business to think it was going to be easy. I mean, in hindsight, you probably don't know how hard it's going to be until you actually do it, but you're in it and you just, what's the old saying? You bite off more than you can chew and chew like hell.
You just keep chewing.
That's it. So
how do you eat an elephant? Well, you take a bite at a time and you keep going.
Yeah, and that's it. It's all up to you. It's if you want to do it, and obviously, we've made an investment in working with you as well. So you want to take it on board and make that work. So whatever you do, you just got to try and make it work, because the result of not making it work is a lot worse than working your butt off.
Yeah, and not everything works perfectly, right? But this was what I took some pictures when we first met. This was your old factory.
Yeah.
The other thing I really like about you, Chris, is that for any business to have any chance of being successful, you have to have something about your business that's exceptional. You can't be like everybody else, right? And you know as well as I do, in our industry, there's so many joinery businesses, right? You work with architectural builders, they've got, 20 to choose from or more?
Yeah.
But there's a reason why the work keeps coming back to you. There's a reason why, when there are so many choices out there and you're not the cheapest one, there's a reason why your clients keep picking you. It's because you've got something exceptional about what you do and who you are.
Yeah.
And I kind of picked up on that from the very beginning. Within the first couple of months, it was really clear. And, I've seen hundreds of, maybe thousands of joinery businesses.
Yep.
You talk a little bit about your work and your passion for what you do. Like I think these pictures are 2 years old now.
Yeah, that's a while ago now. I've still got my work boots on, the steel caps. I don't wear them anymore, so that it's a while ago. Most of our stuff is all mid to high end residential architectural work. So we work closely with architects and builders, and starting off as a one-man band pretty much, with a little bit of help here and there. I sort of really love that aspect of it, and that's sort of why I went into business, because I was sort of doing I mean, I was doing sort of commercialized stuff on the high rise, good money, but it was pretty monotonous, and I just needed a bit more of a challenge. I really liked the architectural stuff, the design stuff, and I guess that's what I like doing, working with the architects as well, is that you can. And not to say that we don't like working with the mum and dad renovator, or any client's good, but just having that challenge of getting that design right, and working with the architect, because you can talk the talk with them as well. That's what I like. And look, to be honest, I'm probably not a great designer as such. So to give me a flat plane and just, can you just make something for us?
Yeah.
I'm better seeing something really intricate and then make that happen. That's sort of probably where I'm better at. And then sort of toing and froing with the architect and sort of, okay, well, there might be a design issue here. Can we do it? Without sort of changing the aesthetics too much. So that's what that's sort of what I really enjoy doing. So
I actually think you're being overly humble, because your ability to take something that was designed poorly and turn it into something that was designed exceptionally well and can be built and installed I think it's one of your strengths. And I think whether it's conscious or whether it's subconscious, I think that's what is exceptional about your business. It's just the way you go about your work, but it's also the passion. Like you said a couple of times there as you were talking, you said what you love. And a lot of joiners don't say those sorts of things, so.
Yeah. And I think, you sort of you've got to love it. You've got to enjoy it, particularly doing this stuff. And I say that to, if my guys are going to be listening to this, I say it all the time. Like, if you don't enjoy what you do, it's going to show up in your work. So if you're half-assed about it, you're going to do a half-assed job. If you don't really care, well, you're going to miss, like with this sort of stuff, if you're not really into the job and you're not enjoying it, you're going to miss the detail. And it's very easy to miss a lot of detail on these stuff, when you've got a 60-page architectural package, from room to room, you've got to be into it, and you've got to want to get that job right. So,
So the challenge for us really over the time that we've worked together is to get you from the doing in the business to a level up of working on the business.
Yeah.
And something you said to me recently, which I thought was really cool, was you can now actually feel yourself working on the business.
Yeah.
Like actually feel working on the business rather than just being in it. And I think what you said was that's because now you've got a team and you can observe and help that team manage. Whereas before you didn't have that team that you were working with. So I'd like to hear your thoughts a little bit on the team that you've assembled and sort of your journey on that process.
Yeah, sure. We've, I guess the last 12 months has probably been the biggest 12 months by far. We went through a lot of growth last year. We implemented a lot of machinery, drawing program. To be honest with you, in hindsight, I know you and I have had this discussion, but probably took too much on in a short period of time, where I hadn't really had the team set up properly. I was still trying to do way too much in the business at that time. Not so much I was on the tools, but we got to a business at that point where we were trying to implement a new CNC. I was trying to learn that along with my factory foreman. I was trying to learn, cabinet vision, new project management system in JobMan. That was all in the space of about 2 or 3 months that I'd taken all that on. Trying to run the business, trying to project manage, trying to do drawings. It was, essentially, and now fast forward 12 months to now, I've now got a project manager and I've got a detailer. So I was doing all that stuff. So I basically was doing 3 people's job.
Yeah.
And it did get to a point last year where it would just.
That's why I came up with this picture, by the way, how I work smarter through tough times. It was, whether you call it self-inflicted or whether you don't, it was tough times.
Yeah. And it was but it was sort of, on hindsight, you just, I had to go through that period to at the end of the year and just go, well, I can't keep doing it that way. Not only for just, my own sanity. It was pretty taxing. I was very, very tired towards the end of the year, but it was really affecting clients and I felt like I was going away from what I wanted to get into business was with, with just dealing with the client and being approachable and, answering any questions. But I felt like because I just had hundreds of calls going, literally 100 calls going a day, just felt like I was a bit short with clients and just wasn't there for them.
Yeah.
Because my time was just my time was everywhere, and then trying to keep the factory going, and it just got to a point where it wasn't sustainable, and I sort of got to the end of okay, I've got to make a change here. So,
so in the early days, new machine coming in, punched a hole in the wall. Well, the hole was already there. You just re-punched it through.
Yep.
Took over the space next door, and then this beautiful machine arrived.
Yep.
And what a great day. I remember that day. I wasn't able to be there, but you took pictures.
Yep.
But what a fantastic sort of a situation that was, because now you've got 3 employees all rolled into one that don't get sick. Generally speaking, don't break down. So the CNC machine arrives, gets put in place, and then you've got this big learning curve like you're talking about, right?
That's right, yeah.
There's a whole new learning curve to go through. And of course, that comes with software that needs to run it.
Yep.
And on top of that, you implemented JobMan at the same time, business management system.
Yep.
All within the space of 6 months.
Yeah.
Impressive that you're not in the fetal position in a corner right now.
I was a couple of times, I think,
but so to your credit, and I just extend a ton of respect your way, because you go through ups and downs, but you have this amazing ability to just kind of keep yourself going through it. And like I say, maybe not the next morning, but certainly a morning, you seem to be just reset. Let's get at it again.
Yeah.
It's not easy sometimes, because when you have failures in business, you do take them kind of personally, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. And that's the hardest part is, and, when you do have those mistakes, and we're not perfect, and that's the whole part of the learning curve, isn't it? And, look, as I said, towards the back end of last year, there was a few things slipping through, and, it was probably lucky that I did have a fair few runs on the board with some clients, and you got to own it, and that's all you can do. You just got to own it, get in front of it, and and coming through this year, we're going to be much better for it, because we had to go through that. You've got to go through that little period, and if you don't learn from it, well, then you're in trouble. But you've just got to really reflect on, okay, what needs to change to get this better.
Well, here's the sad, I don't know if you'd call it sad, or the harsh reality is that you don't learn unless you fail.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Right. Or you don't learn unless you go through something really tough that you didn't know. But certainly, trying something and failing is the only way to learn. Like, as early on in life as we can remember, if we didn't fail and learn, we wouldn't be walking as humans. Right? We would have given up.
Yeah.
And, okay, I guess I'm just going to crawl for the rest of my life. So you don't give up. You figure out how to, fall down and get up, and enough times you're walking. So, so you've done this in a compressed period of time, a lot of failures and a lot of struggles in a very short period of time. So it's cool to see you come out the other side as strong as you are. And so, your factory now is really a slick looking operation. You've got everything laid out really nicely. We're still working on implementing lean, but you've got the foundations there that everybody can kind of see and do.
Yeah.
It's a very visual workshop. Like, everything is easy to see. So we had a few sessions last year on lean. What are some of the takeaways that you could maybe just say briefly around? We talked about sequencing and flow. What were the main sort of takeaways from that?
I think the main one was, obviously we had a session not long after we had the CNC. So obviously lean for us, in the beginning, we didn't sort of get too deep into it, knowing that it was going to completely change once we got the CNC and got automated. So, but it was just making all the parts movable. And I think one of the main ones was, once we implemented the CNC, was just the minimized part. So, so from the screen to the machine is small batch sizes. So that was huge for us. I think that was huge. Smaller batch sizes to the machine, that enables our machinists to cut edge. I mean, we're lucky. Well, we're sort of, with our factory space, we've got the edge bander right behind the CNC. So it's straight off the CNC into the edger, into the cart. And so after Christmas, that was one of our projects, is to change our cart so it would take 10 cabinets. So our machinist off the machine edges, and he knows he's got 10 cabinets, full cabinets at the machine that he's going to sort, and goes into the trolley. So that means that it's at the assembly bench. It's already sorted in its kits, ready to be knocked up. So that for us was huge. That saves so much time. The efficiency out of that. I mean, I couldn't even tell you what a save, but that's been a big one.
It is really interesting, isn't it? Because I know the feedback we get from everyone that implements this is the fear is that it feels like you're going slower because you've got these little things that you're pushing along. It feels like to go faster, we're gonna go really fast to build up this big stack of things. Yeah, because you can stack things up really quickly, right? So that feels like it's more efficient. Yeah. Whereas if you were to take one piece and just move it on to the next stage and the next stage and the next stage, it always feels like it's really slow. But it's always very surprising when you're done to see, man, we got a kitchen done in 30% less time. Yeah. But it felt like it was going slower. And that's a real common feedback we get from people. So yeah, it's cool to see. So your factory is well set up, and we're well on the journey of lean and trying to implement one piece flow. Custom shops are always a little bit difficult with one piece flow because you never do the one piece. It's never the same piece every time. Yeah. But it's very similar, right? It's boxes and bits and pieces. Yeah, sure. Yeah, cool. So, and of course, we had all these things that you were doing. You had new implementation of JobMan, business management system, cabinet vision. You introduced a new person in your office. Can you talk a little bit about that role in your business and how that's affected the dynamic of your business? I guess we've sort of got two new roles in the office. One being our technical drafter. Yeah. So that was we got Martin on board. He started with us at the start of March. Yep. I mean, that's a big asset for us. So once you get automated, I mean, your business relies on it, doesn't it? So you got your cabinet vision expert. Yep. He's come in as your CV expert. What's the second role that you're thinking of here? So that's Dave. So that's our factory foreman, has now moved into a project management role. So that was one of the things I think we highlighted towards the end of last year, where we really needed a more of an on-site presence. Obviously, with the bigger workload, as you move forward, we're just finding that we're doing more complicated jobs because that's sort of where we want to be, and that's how people sort of see us. Yep. And that just needs more management on site, and that was where I was really getting strained. And I was still trying to do that towards the end of last year. But it was really hard to make that decision. It was really hard to get someone off the factory floor into that role, even though I knew that Dave was going to be perfect for it. It's really hard to take him out of that role because he was so good at what he was doing anyway. So, and that's probably why it sort of took me so long to make that move. But that's been great. And that's where we've got to this point. Is where we are now is that it's giving me the chance to work, spend more time on the business. I mean, you can sort of see now, like with JobMan, I've done more in JobMan in the last 2 months than I have in the last 14 months. So just having that time, and I think I spoke about it in the first podcast, is sometimes when you're working on the business, when you're so used to being on the tools and a tradesman, it's when you're trying to put aside time to work on the business, it doesn't feel like you're working. And that was you feel guilty. Yeah, and I still like that because I've sort of gone through all those little bits. I think the last time we spoke was like I still had that pull to go out onto the factory floor. Yeah. You still get caught up in stuff that maybe you shouldn't be doing.
but but it's good. But now, I've got more time to spend with clients. I feel like I'm not short with people. It's just, I'm just back to what I got into business for, is to be reliable and make the client feel like they're the only one that we're working for. We don't have, when we speak to them, or I'm too busy, I'll see if I'll get back to you tomorrow, or I'll get back to you in a few days, we're really flat out. It's trying to give them the sense that you're our only client that we've got on at the moment. You know what I mean? So that was my mentality when I went into business, is, just along with the quality and providing them with a good quality joinery is good quality service as well.
But let's be honest. I mean, it's okay to be a little selfish here. You went into business because you probably wanted a little bit more wealth for yourself and your family. You wanted a little bit of time, more time to be able to, enjoy some of that extra stuff and just have more enjoyment out of life. And that's you're getting closer and closer to feeling like that's actually what you're achieving in business.
I think it's sort of the self-development too. I don't know if I really thought about it when I went into business, but I think but now looking back, it's that self-development and that learning curve that you wouldn't get anywhere else, is what I've sort of really, really enjoyed. As hard as it bloody is, like it's bloody hard. And when you said time, like if you think you're going into business and you're going to have more time, well then,
no.
Yeah, that's not. I was at one point. I used to be actually half decent at golf at one point, but that's that's.
When was the last time you swung the clubs?
I'm not even sure. Even if I wanted to, I wouldn't have been able to do it the last few weeks. But it's been a while since I've played golf. But I think it is. I think it's just it's that personal development. I think you sort of, for me anyway, it was.
Well, the personal development that I've seen you go on is now you're prepared to make decisions on things.
Yeah.
Which you always were. I mean, even when we first started working together, we had to make a decision on your team early on, right? Who's going to stay and who's going to go. And that's actually the most successful thing you do in business, is making a decision, knowing full well that it might screw up or it might go bad, but you've got to make these decisions. You can't stay in the same place.
Yeah.
The more you do that and the more you succeed and fail, the more succeed and fail, the more you're going to have success. And so continue making decisions as you go along.
Yeah.
So now we're kind of in phase 2 or phase 3. What's the next most important thing we're going to do here?
I'm not sure. What is it?
Well, we've got a business now that's got all the tools and all the structure that's really in place to scale. And, the thing that your business now has the capabilities of doing is scaling, because you've got the ability to put work through your business. You've got your project manager that can look after the site. You've got your setter out that can take more work and feed it into the factory floor. You've got a factory that's prepared for probably, maybe not double the work, but more work than you're putting through it right now.
Yep.
But now we've got that other element that isn't really in place as a system yet, which is a good marketing component of your business, which means that we can start bringing in more and more work from other sources you didn't know existed before, right? So now we're looking at connecting all those pieces of the puzzle up, which is often, I'd like it to be the first thing we do, but it never is. It always seems to be the second or third thing we do.
Yeah.
So, looking at improving the website, improving the flow of leads coming into your business, how we handle those leads. That's kind of the stage we're at right now, isn't it? In the development of the business.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get a way of just sort of turning up the dials and then your inbox is full.
Yeah. Yep.
But I guess the one thing about JobMan is it's going to help you with that. Even if you did get 2 or 3 more quotes to work on, we're getting through the quotes quicker.
Yep.
So that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about getting to the next stage, because you never want to have to hunt work.
That's right.
So if you were talking to someone who was just starting out in business right now, what would you say to them about, the key things? I don't know. I get asked this question quite a lot. What are the key things that you know now that you didn't know 6 or 7 years ago?
I think if I was to give, are you asking what advice something to do to implement?
I didn't word that question very well. What do you think now what do you know now that you wish you knew 6 or 7 years ago when you first started out?
I think it comes down to processes. I think that's just something that you really got to have process in business, particularly if you have that, if you lay that out at the start and spend time on, even as a one-man band, is how you do things from A to B, so from B to C. It's just, even now, like we're sort of trying to, and that's part of the problem, right? If things are slipping through and it's what are we doing wrong? It's you know what I mean? Like, okay, well, how did this happen? What do we got to do to fix it? It's a process. It's let's look at this. And now I've got time to do that. It's like, okay, how do we work on this process? How do we fix this? So that's I think that's the number one thing. And that's, I was never in a business that sort of had, so I never saw that, it's just cut it, make it, get it out.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Right. It's, so that's the main one. Get your processes right.
It's a little bit, we kind of describe it like this. Like if we think of business like a tree that you want to grow, you're kind of in that stage of the growth of the tree, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if this drawing's going to work very well. That's a tree. That's the roots or the ground of a tree. And if you think of this like a value tree, you start out sort of down here with all the information in your head. So you're the highest value person in the business because you retain all the information. As your business grows, if the information stays in the value tree, as people are added to the business, they can come back here to get it.
Yeah.
As long as the information is there for them to get it and it doesn't exist in your brain. But if you are the person that controls everything or has everything, then as you add people to the business like you have, they have to come back here to get that information, like ask you, right?
Yeah.
But you haven't done that. You've actually created process that is here so people can just get on with their job and the value of the business grows because the value of the work is available for someone that needs to do it for them to do it.
Yeah.
And that's when you talk about process, that's kind of what we need is we need the process available to someone so they can figure it out, but they don't have to come to you and have you tell them so much. And that's, that's a hard process, but that's ultimately what we're trying to do. And this is a terrible drawing. I apologize. That's supposed to be a tree. It doesn't look like a tree at all, does it?
That's all right. Yeah, that's, I guess.
Eventually this drawing is supposed to become a mushroom. If, the opposite of a tree to me is a mushroom. So if you're retaining all the information and people are coming to you to get it, your business essentially becomes a mushroom and implodes on itself. That's the idea of this graphic. But yeah, cool. So that itself kind of shows that the growth that you've been on in business is led you to a great place because process for a custom item doesn't seem important for most tradespeople, but it's very important for business.
I think, and even more so, well, I can only sort of speak for myself, but manufacturing is, it's huge. When you got to have your process, when you in manufacturing, you got machines, you got this, there's so many moving parts and different areas within that. It's huge.
Cool. All right. Well, it's Friday afternoon. It's probably time to knock off and have a soft drink of some kind. So I really appreciate you doing this. And I just appreciate, the fact that we've worked together for so long and we're still continuing to do it. I think we've got a long way to go, but you've come a long way already. And it's really cool to see.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
As you know, our program is a done with you, not a done for you. So there's no with if you don't have any doing, and you've done a lot of doing. So that makes it all worthwhile for us.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Have a great weekend and we'll chat soon.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Bruce.
Cheers.